The second leg in our tour of California brings us to a track that is both a staple in West Coast car culture, yet is brand new to iRacing. Willow Springs has been around for ages, but its small size and tricky nature means it's remained mostly a club track. And that should suit our competitors perfectly. Let's see if they have just as good of a time virtually as we get ready to watch round 6 of the Porsche Owners Club Series. And you'll see it all live here on Global Sim Racing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Scenic and iconic, Willow Springs can take your breath away in more ways than one. Let's get a closer look at it with our track guide.
Welcome to Willow Springs International Raceway. As the oldest permanent road course in the U.S., it holds a particular place of distinction among American motorsports fans. The circuit is just an hour and a half north of Los Angeles, and because of this, it has been used in various films and TV shows over the years. With only 9 turns over 2.5 miles, or just over 4 kilometers, you'd think it's a pretty simple affair. But the incredible camber, numerous elevation changes, and some diabolically fast corners means there's complexities here to keep drivers busy for years. The downside is that there are a few heavy braking zones throughout the lap, and most are not in a straight line. Rabbits Ear and Turn 9 each require the driver to carry tremendous speed and aim for frighteningly late apexes. Meanwhile, the run past the Budweiser balcony all the way through the Monroe Ridge takes you on a roller coaster of rises and drops, all while dipping left and right with wild changes in banking. Sadly, there are a few series that visit the track in present day, but it stays extremely active through club racing, driver coaching, and private test days. It has long been a favorite for both fans and drivers, and once you get onto the track, it'll be easy to see why.
Well, DJ, it's their first visit here, so this is going to be fun, but just their first visit virtually.
Yeah, exactly. This is in the backyard here. Willow Springs is in the backyard of the majority of these drivers, most of whom are on the West Coast. But let's spend a little bit of time talking about this track. Joe, as you said, it's very, very tricky, and overtaking is going to be at a real premium around here. There's not a lot of those heavy braking corners, those traditional heavy braking zones that's going to see you be able to get a pass done. Instead, what you've really got to do is apply pressure all the way around this circuit, and there's plenty of places to be able to make a mistake. The run from the balcony really down through a Monroe Ridge and down through Wings Leg, that's a very tricky, undulating part of the track that can really throw you off. Also, you've got to be careful. Catching just a little bit of the dirt around here through the sweeper or through Rabbits Ear, absolutely going to send that car out of control and to the outside. So really and truly for these drivers, I think we're going to see a battle of wills. It's going to be a battle of just keeping everything together and keeping all 4 tires on the black stuff.
Yeah, you'll go sliding for quite a while through the dirt, I can imagine, if you go off the track here. Now, before we get to the racing action, we want to remind you of our sponsors, which includes Porsche. There is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com. And Game Changer Wealth, helping you become a game changer with wealth. Contact them today at GameChangerBR.com or at 225-664-2565. Championship got a little bit interesting after the last round. Tom Layton finally had his first race off of the podium, and that has closed it in somewhat to Andrew Chinichi. Not super close, but it's still midway through the season, so the fact that it's cut down to 14 points could mean that we're starting to see cracks in the armor of Tom. Cigar Dewan has been the revelation and has been having some great runs. Also had his first race off of the podium. However, he did miss round 2, so that obviously is what's put him a little farther down as well. But all second places except for last time out. It's a close fight a little bit farther down between BJ Fulton and Jad Duncan. Only a single point separating those two. And then only 5 points between Rondeau, Johnson, and Ost as well. This one's going to be a little bit different, DJ, so let's go over the race details.
And let's indeed go over them here in round 6 of 12, running those Porsche 911, the 992 GT3R, so that updated model. And this is what's different here today, Joe. We're in for, well, let's call it what it is, a mini enduro race. 90 minutes around Willow Springs. Obviously a fixed setup for all of these drivers. And with that 90 minutes, that means we're going to see some pit stops today. So not normally something we see from the Porsche Owners Club, but that run into pit lane and out of pit lane, not nearly as difficult as it is on other circuits, but still need to make sure you practiced for it.
Certainly. So drivers will have to try and make sure they hit those cones as fast as they can without going over the pit speed limit, because a penalty will be costly here, no doubt. We're in the midst of qualifying, and Dewan currently has the provisional pole, so once again proving that he has great speed. He's quicker than Tom Layton. Chris Walsh, who is he's returned for this one, but he showed up at round 4 and has since taken both wins, both round 4 and round 5. So he sits in third. And Sadakal Khalsa, another somewhat newcomer here, is looking mighty fast today, is currently in fourth. So a little bit mixed up from what we've seen in seasons past up here at the top, but still very close, DJ, for this pole position.
Yeah, very close indeed here as they run. Good to see Sadakal here in the virtual world. He's one that you and I know quite well. Joe often races with Pirelli GT4 America, so good to see him out on that. But some pretty close margins here when you work your way down through the field. I mean, from fourth all the way down, looking to about 14th place, we're talking about less than a tenth separating each of those drivers.
Oh, and Doug Baccignone with a good lap for him. He's onto the second row now in that number 59. So Doug suddenly showing himself to be a factor in this. So we watch Khalsa come around the final corner and back onto the main straight. He'll cross the timing line. Doesn't look like this is going to be a fast one. And indeed, that a little bit slower. Now, these cars are fixed setup. We talk about this every time, DJ. They can't come in and expect the car to be as light as before if they take a spare car. They have to stay out there as long as they can to run down the fuel in these things. So those that can stay out there and just take fresh tires are going to be in a bit of advantage here in these last 7 minutes.
Yeah, they very much are. Fresh rubber going to be very, very crucial around this circuit. It's not super abrasive. We're not going to be talking about massive amount of tire wear on these 992 Cup cars, but it is 992 cars rather, but it is 93 degrees Fahrenheit here at the moment, and so that does mean that it's going to be a little bit toasty. Those tires will come up to temperature a little bit earlier, but you're going to have to hold on to them a little bit and make sure you don't overheat the tires over the course of a run.
But look at the wind. 16, 17 miles an hour. It's gusting around out there, and obviously not a lot to slow you down, and not enough to slow down Baccignone, who has a big off there through turn 1 and goes off of Castrol Corner. He's going to get it back on the track, but this lap certainly not going to count for him, so maybe a good opportunity to actually slow down and cool off those tires. Here goes Dewan. Looks like this lap also not going to be that great for him, about 7/10 off of his best lap. He'll have to try one more time. Takes a little bit of that inside curve, but he keeps it within the boundaries.
Yeah, he's going to keep it within the boundaries there, and I love that our director, Zach Johnson, was able to show us that, particularly coming out of turn 9, that final corner. You've really got to run that car out wide. Let's see here. Yep, that's exactly the line you want to do. You do want to pick up a little bit of dirt there around the outside. There's not a natural runoff, so you are going to be running onto the dirt, but that's the fastest way to get around there.
So Walsh stays in third, not able to improve on his 1:12.1. So he'll stay put where he is. Only needs about half a tenth to catch up to Layton, who also did not improve that time by. And who have we got here on screen coming around the sweeper? Long right-hander. You can see it's got a little camber in it, but it goes on forever, and it keeps tightening as it goes. Looks like Traloa is going to take a pit stop himself, probably get some fresh tires. Hope that his last couple laps will be able to give him a little bit more pace. Not that long around this circuit with so few corners and not that much of a length of a lap.
No, it's only about a minute and 11 seconds. That's what we're seeing at our top time here from Cigar Dewan. A minute 12 is what I'd say we kind of average out to here at this point. But as we watch Tom Layton right now, he's working that car around through that area of the track that I talked about, coming down through Wings Leg and down through the sweeper. That looks like, if you're looking at that track map, it's very flat, very even keel, but the change in elevation really makes that a dynamic area of the track. Now as Layton comes out of turn 9, going to not go out onto that runoff area. Let's see if he's setting himself up here for a good lap or if this one's going to be an improvement.
Crosses, it is an improvement, but unfortunately for him, Chris Walsh has just set his personal best, and that jumps Tom for second place. So Tom now needs to make up 16 thousandths of a second to catch Chris in these last 3 or 4 laps.
Yeah, he's really going to have to put the pedal down here. And unfortunately, as we've seen a lot of times, that we may see a little bit of a change here today. But normally in the dying ages of a qualifying session, those times aren't necessarily there. But clearly with the updates that iRacing has put in, that ever-changing track dynamic that they try to include and make as good as possible, everything continuing to rubber in here. And it looks like this track is actually getting a little bit faster.
Certainly is. Love that we're seeing this this great bit of talent emerging and coming forward, but also some real-world drivers. You already mentioned Sadakal, but Chris Walsh, also another real-world driver competing here since he arrived. And we've had Tom Layton with us for quite some time. Michael Johnson, sadly, not been able to be at the last couple races, but another real-world driver and coach as well. Hopefully we'll get him back on track eventually. In the meantime, watching Matt Hollander, who takes the number 69 around, and it looks like towards the middle part of the course, up the hill towards the highest part by Budweiser Balcony. Such a tricky corner, up and over the crest. Hard to see the apexes. Looks like he hits it pretty nicely, though.
Yeah, he's able to hit it pretty nicely, and then down here through Monroe Ridge. Oh, now this is where things are going to get very, very sketchy during the race when we see some of these faster drivers coming up behind some slower lapped traffic. I think we could see some big traffic jams and see some massive swings in momentum in the race based off of that. Continue to ride on board with Hollander here, though. Let's see how he handles turn 9.
This is it, last turn. Got to really get down to that apex right at the end. And does pretty well, but it looks like he may have been slowed down by that traffic because his time, which was an improvement, has now been well off. No, it was showing wrong for me. A 12.649 is quicker, but he does not go higher than 10th position, unfortunately.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that here from these drivers, just incremental gains on lap time, but it's not enough to burst them up through the order, and I think that's kind of indicative of just how close this field is. I mean, first from 16th, only separated by 2.3 seconds. First from 15th, only 1.5.
Back to Cigar here into Rabbit's Ear, showing himself right about even with his best time right now, but it's still early in the lap. Might get a little help from Sadakal in front of him, who could give him a little slipstream around some of the faster portions, especially down that front stretch and off of Monroe Ridge as well. We'll see if that pulls him forward just a little bit and allows that 501 to get farther away from both Layton and Walsh, who have swapped once again. Layton now cracks into the 111s, so only the second driver managing to do that so far, but he's parked it looks like, and does not have enough time to get around for another lap.
No, not going to be able to get around with only a little bit left on the clock. They are going to have to go here at this point. Let's see if anybody's got anything left in it as we continue to watch here, working around on this final lap of the run.
Checking to see if anybody's on a flyer here. Doesn't look like I'm seeing any improvement so far. Looks like Kalsa does not go quicker. And behind him, Cigar Dewan also does not improve. Think he was just trying to set this one up, get himself a little bit of distance. Oh, but he's off into the dirt. That may have been his last lap deleted right there. It was close.
It was very close. I'm not entirely sure what the limits are coming up and over the line on some of these corners, but it looks like here that 501 still pushing at this point, and so he clearly gonna keep going. Maybe this could be a little bit of practice, but maybe he did not get that 0x.
By the way, Chris Walsh is back out there and just crossed the line. Layton is not. We could see Chris jump back up to the top spot. Roper not going to get a quicker time as he's done unless he crosses here in a couple seconds. It's going to be close. You can see him swinging the leg out. And I think he may have just barely made it. No, he got the checkered flag. If he hadn't had that slide, he could have gotten out in time for one more lap, but it was not to be. Kalsa is going to be our next one across as we're watching Walsh here, along with Chad Dick. and Kalsa is slow. Chad Dick now going to be coming to the finish line in that 9:30. He also slows, not happy with that lap. He's followed by Dewan, who improves to an 11:749. He stretches farther away from Chris Walsh, who it looks like is out, and I don't see Chris Walsh out on the track. Chinichi crosses, improves to a 1:12.3. I think that may have been pole there with that final lap for Cigar.
I think it may have been as well. A very impressive run for Dewan, but that's going to set up our order for this 90-minute race, Joe. This is going to be one of endurance, so watch for these drivers to back off a little bit right from the downbeat, but this is going to be very, very intense over the course.
So Dewan takes the pole position, and he's got Tom Layton next to him. Tom's taken 2 wins so far. Can he get back onto the top spot in this one? Chris Walsh will try and deny him and make it a three-peat on his first 3 races in the series, as Doug Baccignone will start from behind them. And Doug looking for, I believe, his first podium this season still. So we'll see if he can make good on this pace that has arrived with him. Mark Rondeau will start from 5th, as Andrew Chinichi, mysteriously slow today, will start from 6th spot. Sadako Kalsa, who was way up there earlier, eventually got shuffled down to 7th, and BJ Fulton will begin from the 8th position. Row 5 sees Michael Bolton to the inside and Matt Hollander to the outside.
It's going to be Chad Dick lining up in P11, followed by AJ Roper in P12. Then row 7 will be Drew Chwala and John Momeyer. Dustin Heindel lines up 15th, followed by Larry Haas. Michael Johnson in the field here, but did not set a qualifying time. I'm not sure if Michael's going to make it all the way out.
He's not in the session right now, so no, I don't believe he'll be able to take to the track. I think he's having hardware problems currently, so I don't think he'll be able to race until that is sorted out. Meanwhile, drivers are gritting up at this circuit. We've already had one of our California tracks. We'll be back with another one with Laguna Seca in the next round. So they're basically doing a bit of a West Coast swing here. So if you missed out on the home win last time out, DJ, this is a second go at it.
Yeah, exactly. And, yes, Joe, this is the virtual world, so everything's going to be a little bit different here, but you want to have those wins. You got those home tracks that you know really, really well. You kind of have a sense of loyalty and a sense of familiarity about it. So if you are based in the Southern California area, this is the one you've had circled. You want to win this.
And on top of it, it's worth double points tonight. We have to remember that 90-minute race, so they're giving out extra points for this one. And this could launch some drivers well up into the lead. For those that are close enough behind Tom Layton here, it's usually 24 a win, now 40 points. Anybody that is 26 points or above, theoretically, could overtake Tom Layton in the points. So that goes all the way down to Jad Duncan in 8th position. That's how important this one is here today. Let's see who's put the practice in and paid attention, as now we've got Tom Layton out on the grid, so we should be taking off on this pace lap shortly.
Yeah, we should be all ready here, I think, because that hardware issue with Michael Johnson just kind of resetting everything. But it looks like here that we are going to be set out here at this point. Temperature is dropped by a degree Fahrenheit right now, so it's going to be 92 degrees Fahrenheit. Good news for the drivers. That'll lower things a little bit. But, Joe, to your point, that wind is really picking up here. It's now up to 25 miles per hour.
Wow, that's not good at all for them. The heat, I'm actually surprised it did go down somewhat, because it's currently a little past 2:30 virtual standard time. So it's in the midst of the afternoon, and that sun's going to continue to pound down onto the pavement. Maybe it's just that wind taking away some of the heat as it blows over the surface a little bit. But they work their way up the hill towards Budweiser balcony, and then next time around they'll be fully in anger here on this track for round 6 of the season. 12 race season, so after the checkered flag falls today, that marks halfway.
It certainly does, and as we've seen, as opposed to years past, we've got a real title fight on our hand. Tom Layton not having it all its own way, and I, for one, am interested to see here what he's going to be able to do. I think the ball is in the court of Cigar Dewan, though. in the lead of this race. It's all going to be about just keeping everything together, minimizing those mistakes here for Cigar. If he's able to do that, he should be able to walk away with a victory, but I guarantee you the likes of Leighton, Walsh, and also Doug Boccignoni, again, great qualifying there for Doug. They're going to have something to say about it.
And you got to think that Cigar's hungry for it because, like I said, 3 second places. He obviously broke his streak last time out, but for the 4 that he's shown up to, he's been that close to the win, just can't quite seem to tip it over and get that victory. This is a good sign, him putting it on the pole, that maybe he can do it here today. It's a longer race, so it could be that he outlasts his competitors as well. As we go over Wing's leg and into the sweeper now. Pace car is going to get ready to peel off pretty soon. They're going to be released. Let's hope we get a clean first corner.
Yeah, it could be a little bit dicey here. The Castro corner, as we said, not the heaviest of braking zones, so that means you're going to be sending a lot of speed through there. Very ripe for understeer from these cars, as these tires are not fully up to temperature yet. But I think caution will prove out here from these drivers. At least that's the hope.
Just gives you a sense of how long this curve keeps going on and on. It's essentially 2 curves because there's a bit of a straight between the sweeper and this last right-hander, but it's taken all as one essentially for these drivers. So they'll be wearing out those left sides, no doubt, all race long, as there goes the pace car. Now heading into pit lane, Dewan has control, but he must wait for the signal from Barney. As they head down the front stretch, drivers antsy to get going on this enduro, and they're being held for quite some time. There's the green flag finally, and they're on their way, accelerating up towards Castro Corner, covering the inside. Dewan making sure that Tom Leighton cannot get down underneath them, and he is going to slide into first behind them. Not seeing any major problems. Looks like we're clean through turn 1.
And I liked what Leighton did there. He recognized that Cigar was not going to give up that position, so swung the car out to driver's right as much as possible to try to maximize speed coming through Castro Corner. Now they make their way up towards Budweiser Balcony. Still a little bit of too wide in back, but it looks like the top 4 or 5 has settled out into single file.
Oh, we got a spinner in the back. I think that's A.J. Roper, unfortunately, turned around. He'll find his way back to the circuit. We'll see what caused that in a little bit. Dewan still leads up at the front. Leighton close behind him, and Chris Walsh hot on his heels. Top 3 are pulling a bit of a gap.
Yeah, they're starting to pull a little bit of a gap here at this point, wanting to see if they're going to be able to pull anything away. The more distance they give themselves between those leaders and the rest of the field, that's just the more time that they're going to be able to play and fight among themselves.
Down through the final turn. Kicking up a lot of dirt there was Tom Leighton as he exited onto the front stretch. Dewan leads the first lap. Leighton follows. Walsh in third. Boccignoni under threat, though, for 4th place, with Andrew Chinichi trying to see if he can sneak inside down through Castro Corner. He does manage to stay inside, but now it switches back into Rabbits here. He's got to get the job done. Slams the door shut.
Not going to be able to get it done there at that point, and there is the way to go. Good moves all the way around. That's the kind of decisiveness you have to get a move done.
Oh, and now Hollander wants to try and go by Boccignoni. He's fallen backwards a bit here in the early stages. He manages to defend off of Matt Hollander up into Budweiser Balcony, but he does look a little out of sorts as Hollander's poking left and right.
Poking left, poking right, trying to see if there's anything to be done here at this point to see if they can get anything to play right now. Here they're going to take a little bit of a look, going to come up behind Hollander, being patient. I like that there from him, but he's certainly letting everybody know that there is an attack coming from behind.
Hollander is eager. He's up 4 spots from the start of this race, once again showing his nose, but it's so tough to make these passes through the final couple turns here. So he'll sit behind and wait for a better opportunity as they once again climb up the front stretch.
Climbing up the front stretch here at this moment. Hollander going to get a little bit of the draft there off in front as they come onto the main straightaway here. Oh, we've got another car off.
I think that's Chawla. It is. Drew is off course and looks like maybe just went a little bit wide out of the final corner from what I can tell.
Yeah, I think just picked up a little bit of grass there on the exit, and that was enough to be able to throw him around, so had to hold on to it there. But he's going to keep going right now at this point. Let's see if... ooh, look at this. Cigar DeJuan starting to build a little bit of a gap over Chris Walsh.
He is, absolutely. A second and a half already. This is very early for him to pull away this much. Not sure if something happened. Actually, wasn't Walsh behind Leighton? Did Leighton make a mistake here?
Perhaps he did. We'd have to see, because, yeah, he did. Leighton must have made a mistake and been able to get around him.
Yeah, so we'll try and find that in a bit. It looks like that was a pass down into turn 1, but I think we've got a replay for A.J. Roper's mistake on lap 1. And this was coming up towards Budweiser Balcony, this uphill left-hander. I always find this one surprisingly tricky. Oh, we had help, though.
Oh, yes, he did. Got a little bit caught there at that point, and that threw him around, sent him right off out into the outside. That's a little bit unfortunate. Yeah, he's going to have it all to do here.
Then here's what happens to Chawla. And, yeah, got loose on the exit. You can see he was already gone there. Thankfully did not hit the wall and eventually gets back to the circuit, but has to take a bit of a circuitous route.
Yeah, kind of has to come back and around there. This is what happened here to Leighton. We ride on board with Chris Walsh. Joe, that looks like a pretty textbook pass. I don't think Leighton made too much of a mistake. I think he just got beat coming around the corner.
I think he had maybe a slight off on the final turn that may have helped him for what I could see out of the corner of my eye. But, yeah, regardless, he had to work hard for it, and Chris was not sitting around. Now he's set off after DeJuan. It's still at about 1.2 seconds. He's cut a tenth or two off of it, and he still has the time. The real tell will be if he can continue to close in this bit by bit.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the real test here. If he's able to really, really close down here and really, really push ahead as much as possible, that's going to be it. As we see this absolute gag, a little bit of a close down there. I think that was Hollander that may have gotten to a little bit of trouble, and now Rondeau's going to pounce.
Absolutely. Picked that one up and didn't have to try very hard. Passed him on the straightaway. Oh, and a mistake from Boccignoni. Could open it up. He's going to try and defend on the inside. Rondeau says, thank you very much. I'll just use this outside grip. And he takes two positions in the same amount of corners.
Very impressive stuff to be able to get that to play. Well done there for Marc Rondeau.
Wow. Unbelievable stuff there from Marc Rondeau. Not sitting around for anybody. So can he catch up to Chinichi now, who is the next one up? Look at this train of cars starting to form behind Doug Boccignoni. Thinking, I thought that qualifying lap wasn't a fluke, but it seems like in the race itself, Doug just kind of struggling here.
Yeah, and we've kind of seen this a few times out of Doug. He's been able to hook up one or two really, really good qualifying laps, but then putting it all to play gets a little bit difficult when it comes to the consistency. But he's not doing terribly here. Holding on to a sixth-place position, looking to maybe reclaim that top five. He's just got to resettle into the rhythm.
That was Bolton in the background of the bright yellow machine who went off, and that has been where most of the passes so far have happened. Drivers putting their tires off in the final turn means BJ Fulton will snatch up ninth place.
BJ's going to be able to grab that here at this point, so he's going to be able to move on forward. Keep an eye out for BJ. He could have some speed later on in this race as we continue to watch here, him working his way up towards that Budweiser balcony.
Yep, and as they climb that hill up to the highest point next to the mountains, past the crowds, it continues on and then sends them shooting downhill. Big compression here into the left-hander, trying to get the car turned in, settled, and then back onto the gas with the longest acceleration zones here over Monroe Ridge towards the sweeper. Look at how close Hollander is getting to Boccignoni. Boccignoni is forced to defend.
Forced to run a little bit defensive here. He's going to try to run that speed around the outside. Good little bit of defense there from Doug. Contact between the two.
Not where you want contact. I thought he was going to send that car flying off into the barrier on the outside, but they're both clean. He's still right on top of it. Boccignoni holds off to the left-hand side a little bit. Going to force him the long way around. Hollander takes the bait. He's going to go the hard way around Castrol, and he's going to use the banking to his advantage to get it done.
Nicely done. Absolutely textbook there for Hollander to be able to get that to play, and Doug Boccignoni's woes continue to carry on here tonight.
This is a great start from Hollander, though. Some fantastic passes that he's made here, and that's put him up into 6th position. It's back to 4 up from where he started, so he lost a couple there for a brief moment, but still, I'd say that his race pace looks fantastic out there. Next on his list will be Mark Rondeau in the gray number 11. If he can catch him up. Not much happening up at the front. You're not missing anything, although Walsh has been faster on some of the laps than Dewan, but it's not looking consistent.
No, it's not looking terribly consistent here at this point, so I think my best guess, if I'm Chris Walsh, I'm probably just letting this play out. 1.1 seconds, not too much to shake a stick at here. He should be able to close that back end. He may be just waiting for the car to come into its own a little bit more once it burns off some fuel and some tires.
Speaking of the fuel, let's not forget that there is at least one scheduled pit stop for our drivers. Ooh, big look to the inside by Kalsa. He's going to try and make a move here on Boccignone, but it doesn't work. Boccignone rebuffs him around the outside. Behind them, that's Bolton versus Fulton. Fulton's got the inside into Rabbit's ear as this battle in front of them still carries on as well. Kalsa having a go at him once again. Nothing doing as they wheel all the way on the outside of the corner here. Michael Bolton, my goodness, he is like a terrier today, just holding on.
Yeah, really and truly is just absolutely nipping at heels here at this point. Bolton trying to be able to get that to go. Here comes them looking around. Oh, that's some very close quarters racing.
So another cutback, though. Here comes Bolton, and a very good cutback. He's going to get the inside coming down into the sweeper, and that will be critical. Like you said, hard to go around the outside of this turn. All he has to do is feed him out, and he's got it.
Yeah, well played there at that point. Looks like for a moment BJ's going to try to take a look down into the inside, but once again, coming down through turn 9, that is almost impossible to do, and that is just good track awareness there from Michael Bolton to be able to get that to play.
Man, great awareness from both of them and fantastic racing. So no contact. Oh, and Boccignone with another mistake. Sadikal says thank you. I'll move up into 7th with ease, and now tries to run down Hollander.
Yeah, he's going to try to get that on. And speaking of running down here at this point, Joe, I think our leader, Cigar Dewan, may have made a little bit of a mistake. That gap is down to about 0.8 of a second. That is 0.4 taken out on lap 8 only. So I think a mistake there from Dewan has led to this point. And we've got a little bit of a race for P1.
Yeah, they've been doing 13 flats or thereabouts pretty consistently, and he had a 13.5 last time. So he must have had like a little slide or an off somewhere around there. And Chris Walsh now can find himself almost smelling the exhaust off of that 501 machine. There is the comparison.
Yeah, and you can see that there on lap 8, losing nearly 0.5 of a second on that run around there. So Walsh here looks like he was able to close in a little bit more on that last lap as well, to the tune of about 0.2 of a second. So even without a mistake there from Cigar, Chris Walsh coming into his own.
Absolutely. So these two might be going head-to-head here in a moment, and Tom Layton will relish that because he's only about 0.8 behind, so he could use them slowing each other up a little bit here to get in the mix. I was saying before, we still have scheduled pit stops to come. Theoretically, once we hit about 55 minutes to go or so, and maybe even more than that, drivers could come in and pit early, but it's a question of who feels like it's worth getting out of the traffic to do so.
Well, I think that's going to be the biggest issue here, Joe, is that when you come into the pits, you're going to want to find a point where you're in clean air. You do not want to be pitting where you're going to be placed behind any other drivers around you. So you've got to be very cognizant of what that gap is going to look like, how much time you're going to spend in pit lane, and where it will deposit you relative to the other cars.
Using every inch of the track, Dewan still can't shake Walsh. He's down to 0.3 of a second behind, continuing to lap faster than the 501 machine. We ride on board with Tom Layton here, looking forward towards the top 2. Still not quite close enough, but definitely a danger if they begin to battle.
Yeah, definitely a danger. And Chris Walsh just set, I believe, it was Layton that just set a personal best lap there of a 1:12.92. So clearly doing some good speed behind Layton, finding his groove.
Walsh does have the fastest lap right now as well. It doesn't mean anything in bonus point terms, but it does indicate who is the quickest out there. And based on the way he's run down to one, clearly that car is feeling good right now. It is fixed setup, let's remember, so everybody's dealing with the same thing. Oh, but the way that they drive the car can affect how it handles over the course of the stint, and DeJuan is kicking up dirt here and there as he's starting to crack.
Yeah, I think he's starting to feel the pressure here a little bit from Chris Walsh, as Walsh is able to take a little bit more of a narrow line. Look how later he's able to dive down into the corner, carry more speed at mid-corner, and now at corner exit, DeJuan's going to gain a little bit of an advantage here, call it about 1/10 of a second as they get their way onto the main straightaway. Now Chris Walsh starting to play some games, poking his nose to the inside, trying to fill up the rearview mirrors of the 501.
Chinichi in the background was way off the course. He's lost this group by about 3 seconds, so he's kind of dropping off here in the early stage. It's not by huge margins. You still catch flashes of him there in the background, but he's going to have to get closer than this if he wants a chance to try and challenge them for a victory, unfortunately. And Chinichi has not won since the first race of the season, so he's starting to get a little bit overdue for another.
Yeah, he certainly is, but with more than 4.5 seconds to make up on the leader here at this point, he has got to start digging. Yes, we're only 15 minutes down into this 90-minute race, but that doesn't mean that you want to let anything slip away here. I think that's a little bit indicative of his pace. Indeed, Chinichi's only been able to do a 1:13.17. It's about 0.2 of a second slower than everybody else in front of him.
Off of the final corner once again. DeJuan may be recovering a little bit. That time he put some distance between himself and Walsh. This time, let's see what the lap is as he crosses 1:12.7. Personal best for Cigar. And Chris Walsh with a 1:12.9. So yeah, Cigar has turned up the wick a little bit.
That's more than just a personal best there, Joe. That's the fastest lap we've seen in this race thus far. So Cigar DeJuan feeling it a little bit here. It's just got to find that little bit of a middle ground between that absolute one-lap speed and getting one that feels consistent and good where you're not pushing over the limit of the car.
Yep, he's got to take care of it all the way to where he gets to that pit stop. Got to think that some of the drivers probably, actually no, I think all of the drivers could be taking tires since they now can take tires and fuel at the same time in these machines. So likely it's going to be a slam dunk that you put on some fresh ones and get back out there. And once again, looking just the littlest farther away from Walsh. I think Cigar DeJuan was not happy with the fact that Chris was encroaching on his territory. We're only 15 minutes into this one. It's still very early in the race, and yet we've had some tense action up at the front.
Yeah, we certainly have, Joe, and it's only going to get more intense. John Momeyer, Larry Haas, AJ Roper, they're about 31, 34 seconds behind our leaders here at this point. And with lap times at about 1:12, I think in another 15 minutes or so, we're going to start encountering some lap traffic for these leaders. And that is, frankly, to put it bluntly, where all hell is going to break loose.
Yeah, we've already seen how tough it is to make overtakes here. So drivers are not going to want to get caught up behind a slower car, especially through this portion up along the hillside past Budweiser balcony. Drivers could find themselves losing a second, maybe multiple seconds, just having to sit and wait patiently behind a car that can't take the corners as quickly as they can. But right now, they are in the clear air, so they're trying to book it and make up as much time as they can at the front of the field.
Yeah, they're really trying to go here at this point, and I commend them. That's what you need to do. That's what you've got to try to capitalize on here, and it looks like DeJuan certainly starting to get a little bit better of that rhythm as he continues to grow that gap back out again.
Mid-pack has not gone away as well. Remember Michael Bolton and his hard fight with BJ Fulton? Well, he's suddenly on the back of Doug Boccignone now, who's all the way down to 8th position. And while he was almost close enough to reach out and touch the bumper of that 59, looks like he lost a little time mid-corner. Now he starts to get faster once again down the main straight, reeling him in. Doug once again going a little bit wide. He has to get off the throttle, trying to look for the inside line there. Bolton thinks about it, but then has to get back behind him.
has to get back behind him here at this point. Looking, not going to be able to get it done as they come up to Budweiser balcony.
And BJ Fulton is also liking this. This has allowed him to get very close to the pair of them. What is going to happen through this part of the track? Kalsa slightly offline himself, and it's becoming a train of cars now. Just a whole bunch of them, nose to tail here, up through Monroe Ridge. Who's willing and brave enough to try and send one into the sweeper, if anybody?
I don't know if anybody's going to be brave enough to be able to get that to go, but let's see here at this point. Looking around the outside, here comes BJ Fulton.
Was close, but not close enough. Chad Dick joins the fray as well. 5 cars now in a line right here. This is all fine for 7th spot as they complete lap 15 now, crossing the line. Last time we saw a struggle out of the first corner from Boccignoni. Has he figured it out this time? Still, he sends it very far into it. He's just so quick into the corner, but slow out of it. Bolton knows it. He knew it this time. Goes around the outside. We've seen him make this move once. Can he do it a second time? It's going to be close. He's still got about half a car length alongside, and that gives him the advantage. Into the left-hander as he tries to finish it up, and he's got it.
Nicely done there by Michael Bolton. That was just sheer perseverance, holding it around the outside there, coming down through the corner. He knew that that car was going to hold and trusted that Doug Boccignoni wasn't going to understeer out into him. So that's a lot of car confidence, and that's a lot of confidence in your racing partner.
Indeed. So as they now head into the final corners once again. So Bolton's now managed to dispose of Boccignoni. Can he get up to Kalsa? Can he overtake the 111 here? Because Kalsa seemed like he's been struggling a little bit since we joined him. Oh, now it's Bolton's turn to have a mistake. And Boccignoni could pull the same move right back on him, but he's going to look around the outside. His Achilles heel has been Castro cornered. Is he better the long way around? No, he runs out of racetrack and has to lift off the throttle.
He's got to get out of it. And look, that's going to open up the door here for BJ Fulton to have a little bit of a look on Boccignoni as well.
Think he might be able to get this done. He's still got a nose ahead, even around the outside, up past Rabbit's ear. It'll switch back. Don't forget about Chad Dick back there. Dick not going to get himself involved quite yet, except now it looks like he's going to try and go side by side. Pass is completed by BJ Fulton. Boccignoni tries to cover down at the apex. Dick cannot find his way through. So that is now going to move Boccignoni down to 10th.
Going to move him down to 10th here at this point. Here they go, though. Does Doug have a little bit of a response? It doesn't look like it. And that is just a tough run here for Doug Boccignoni. You really kind of hate to see that there for him.
Yeah, really unfortunate that he's been falling as backwards as fast as he has. But it does look like he's struggling a little bit with certain corners. Wonder if he just can't seem to get the car to do what he wants it to do as he tries to defend the inside off of Chad Dick now. And into Castro corner. He does manage to hold him off and covers the apex, but still, I think we've got an opportunity for Chad. Nope, he decides not to do that.
Yeah, decides to back off there just a little bit, and he's going to, I think, just have to wait another day here. Again, Chad, a very experienced driver. We haven't seen him a lot here in this individual series for the Porsche Owners Club. No, and that's going to be Bolton around.
Once again, the left-hander just before Budweiser balcony. The car goes around, and he thankfully does not hit anything. But as he gets back onto the circuit, that means he's all the way in 11th. So all that hard work has been undone.
All undone here at this point, and that is going to be very unfortunate here for Michael Bolton. He could have been looking at a top 5 potentially, and now he's going to have to redo everything, restarting here back in 11th place.
Well, we've been watching this. Things have changed up at the front. It's gone from Walsh being the attacker to the defender as Tom Layton has been breathing down his neck for P2. And for a second, I thought maybe he was going to have a go into turn 1, but he wasn't quite close enough to him. He knows it's going to take a real good move to be able to actually get up alongside Chris under braking, I think.
Yeah, I think he does as well. Leighton's being very, very cautious here, very consistent, and I think that's because Leighton is thinking about the long game. He is thinking about the attack on Cigar Dewan that may be coming later on in this race.
Okay, so will he play patient, or will he try and have a go as soon as the opportunity shows itself, or will he maybe try an alternate strategy and get himself out of the dirty air of Chris Walsh and maybe pit in a few moments' time, or he'll just wait for the car to go off and he'll take it easy peasy down the front stretch, Leighton back to P2.
Well, that's exactly the kind of thing that we were talking about there, just finding an opportunity, pushing a driver a little bit to the limits. Leighton wasn't necessarily driving over his own limits, kept everything together, and just let that race, let that mistake come right into his hands.
Well, that was a long time coming for Tom, but finally back up to where he started this race. Can he go back and chase down Dewan, or is this the highest he's going to be able to make it? Is Dewan finally going to get that elusive win for this season as they go by Budweiser balcony once again? Credit to Shinichi. I was talking about him falling away. It's still at about 3 seconds, so looks like he hasn't lost too much. It's stayed pretty much the same.
Yeah, it really and truly has. I mean, he's doing a good job of just kind of running in an island unto himself. There you can see him in the background of that shot. Still about 3.5 seconds off of Walsh. But I've got to think here, if I'm Shinichi, I don't hate my opportunities. You know, this really opens him up here for some strategic calls when he wants to come down into pit lane, as well as just kind of being able to roll with the changes. And if this battle up in front of him gets too volatile, he'll be able to pick up the pieces.
Tom Leighton now setting the fastest lap now that he's been cleared. So no dirty air to slow him down, and that has worked out beautifully. In fact, we didn't see it on screen, but Chris Walsh had a little bit of an off there coming out of Castrol Corner, so he might be struggling in the dirty air himself now that he's having to deal with what Tom did for so many laps. I want to give a little bit of credit to Matt Hollander. He is still our hard charger and doing a very good job dealing with pressure himself, because Mark Rondeau has been absolutely filling his mirrors.
Yeah, really and truly has. I've been keeping my eye on this battle for a pretty long time here at this point, and it looks very, very close. There is nothing in between Hollander and Rondeau, and they are both just all over each other.
Rondeau has lost a spot in comparison, so Hollander doing much better off than he is, but that means Mark might be a little hungry here to try and at least get back even to where he began this race. And Hollander is a long ways back from Shinichi. It's about 12 seconds to get to the number 10 up in front of him. So Matt has nothing to look at except that mirror at this stage. It's all clear air in front of him. Granted, I'm sure he's plenty focused, as this is a difficult track, like I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, it really and truly is. I kind of love what we're seeing here, Joe. We got sort of couplets, 3 sets of couplets that are breaking off here with Hollander and Rondeau, then Kalsa and Fulton, then Dick and Baccignoni working their way back through the field here. So 3 sets of nice little battles going on.
Ooh, but Kalsa had to go defensive there, because here comes Fulton. Once again, that outside move. I would not think that would be successful in these long, long corners. Yet cars have made good on it, but it looks like Fulton just went a little hard off the corner and found himself putting 2 tires in the dirt. He keeps it from spinning, but it's not going to allow him to overtake on the 111 here. Oh, big checkup behind all 4 of them, basically, nearly coming together. So Chad Dick almost gives Baccignoni a chance to get that spot back. I think he just lost that recently.
Yeah, I think he did as well. As we look here, yeah, this battle now starting to kind of come into a 4-car battle here at this point, starting to definitely close on in a little bit more. Here they go, though. 1, 2, 3, 4. This again, the battle for 7th place.
Back on to the main straight. Kalsa leading that battle with BJ Fulton in the gray machine that you see, the Martini liveried car just behind, way too far back for anything this time into the first turn. So he is clear, and looks like this is settled down somewhat but it's definitely not completely gone away. But it gives them a chance to breathe, maybe try and reassess things and focus forward.
Yeah, I think that is a good way of thinking about it here at this point. Just kind of calm yourself down a little bit, focus forward, try not to be looking in that rearview mirror necessarily, and keep pushing on. This is a track, as you mentioned earlier, you have really got to be on the wheel through every last corner of it. Really, it's not until the main straightaway do you get a chance to breathe around here.
Certainly. I mean, you can even see here up over Monroe Ridge and into Wings Leg, still having to put inputs in and focus, especially on your run into the sweeper, try and control the car. They're doing 155 through that turn. So, I mean, the cameras really don't do it justice. They are flying through there.
Yeah, they are absolutely booking it through there. And as they come down into Castrol here, you're going to be looking at about 155 as well, bleeding off the speed here, bringing it down. But they're still coming through that corner at over 110 miles an hour. This may be an old school track, Joe, but that means this thing is fast. It is quick. It is flowing. And that makes it so much more difficult to try to control a car around.
Cars of years past did not have as good a cornering speeds as modern cars do, so it was not quite as scary as it is now. Although I'm sure with the lack of safety back then, I'm sure it's plenty scary in that sense. Ooh, a little bit of a look to the inside maybe from Fulton, but nothing doing there past Budweiser balcony. He's getting a little uncomfortably close to that red and white machine now.
Yeah, he's starting to put some pressure here to the back of Kalsa, and it looks like Kalsa's starting to feel the pressure there a little bit wide, coming down through that left-hander coming off of Monroe Ridge. Now BJ is really in the catbird seat as Sadikal is trying to be able to run a little bit of defense here. It looks like cut off any opportunities. Very late apex into that final corner. That could help BJ get a little bit more speed.
Still right with him. BJ knows that good finish could be on the cards here, the way this race is going for him. Looking at that 8th place, although he did take his first podium last time out, so maybe a little lower than he would have liked, but can't all be podiums, of course, as that 82 continues to make sure and just lay it on to Sadikal Kalsa and keep him honest. Oh, we got a problem in front of him. Matt Hollander's had an issue. He's slow, and they've caught up to the back of him. Not sure what happened to the 69, but he's now a part of this group.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I'm going to have to take a look back at the replay machine here and try to figure out exactly what happened. Oh, he just ran it a little bit wide, it looked like, coming up the curve here. Just got on the power, picked up some understeer, and found himself off into the grass.
I'm noticing a trend for a lot of the issues for cars here. Understeer seems to be a real problem today, as we see many go off on corner exit, and that's handed over multiple positions. Good run here from Fulton once again. What can he do coming through turn 9 and onto the main straight? Is there going to be more pace in the car? And, oh, off into the pits goes Matt Hollander. So wonder if he maybe hit something that didn't make the car happy, or is he deciding he doesn't want to give them a slipstream and is just going to take his tires now and get back out?
I've got to think here, when I looked at that off from Hollander, I didn't see any damage on the car, Joe, so I think this is probably just a little bit of a mental reset here for Matt. Get that fuel into the car, get a fresh set of tires, come back out here, and try to put any of the mistakes that you've made behind you and just start over, basically.
I think he will go a lap down, but that doesn't mean much since there are no full course yellows in this series. However, he does have to worry about those blue flags if he's stuck in other cars. DeJuan's just going to be coming by now, so he might be in the thick of that battle for the lead, except for the fact that Chris Walsh has suddenly died. I mean, his pace is gone. Shinichi is right behind him. And I'm looking to see if there's any outliers here. Yeah, lap 21, I see Chris Walsh put in a 14.1, so I wonder if he had just a little bit of an off there. And then the next lap was a 14.0, so a pair of seriously slow laps for him.
Yeah, a pair of seriously slow laps, and then good response here by Chinichi, just taking about 2 tenths, 3.5 tenths, 3 tenths, 1.5 tenths over the next 4 laps. So Chinichi recognized that there was that little bit of a problem from Walsh and absolutely pounced on it, and now he continues to run right behind the rear exhaust there of the 104.
Looked like the car got loose or something because he was just suddenly slow up and over Budweiser balcony. Chris Walsh looks like he is not having a good time. And now I don't know how many races he's done here in the sim compared to real life. I would assume a fair few considering how easily he's won. And yeah, he's got a 47K iRating. So surely he's used to the tires past this point, even though this is longer than the previous 2 races. But the tires were not like this before, so maybe he used them up a little bit too much at the start of this race, just used to how it runs in the sprint format.
Yeah, that's a good point, Joe, not knowing how they're going to react further over. And let's not forget, there has been a new build since the last time we saw these cars out on track. Now, it's not absolutely seismic changes in this most recent build, but little tweaks and tunes on the tires and the cars are always happening. So it may just be a little bit there as this session winds on that it's just coming to the chagrin here of Chris Walsh.
By the way, Hollander did go a lap down, and he's in last place of all 16 that are running currently. But Dewan is getting close to some lap traffic himself. I wonder if Cigar or any of the drivers, as they reach some of this lap traffic, will use that as an excuse to pit in. They could mark it as just exactly halfway, though traditionally in iRacing, the strategy is to run as long as you can and pit once the fuel tank is empty.
Yeah, that tends to be the normal way to think about it, but we'll have to see how exactly they decide to be able to run it here. I think, as we said earlier, this could be very heavily dependent on just how the traffic plays out here. And I've got to think, if you're Chinichi and you feel a little bit stuck behind Chris Walsh, it may not be the worst idea in the world to come down into the pits a little bit earlier than planned.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's an excellent idea for Chinichi if he wants to get back on the podium once again, but we'll see what he does. Kalsa had a big off. This is in the final turn. Is he heading straight for pit lane? I think he is.
Yeah, I think he is there, and because of the club nature of this track, I don't think he's going to get pinged for an unsafe pit entry there, so that's going to be our second taker down pit lane. Maybe a little bit more out of necessity than desire for Kalsa, but nevertheless, that 111 coming down into the pits.
So let's see what put him there. Car's not close to him. Oh, yeah, another understeer moment. And thankfully, he kept his wits about him. He didn't try to do anything crazy and didn't lose control of the car. But yeah, that's not an unsafe entry. He had not come to the cones yet. So in fact, I was kind of glad he reached the cones very late and got it slowed down in time. So will Hollander go by? Yes, Hollander will easily overtake Kalsa.
Okay, so that's going to play that out as we take a look here. There is Kalsa coming out of pit lane. Actually, right as that battle we were watching between Walsh and Chinichi streak on by, so Kalsa will also go a lap down.
Now the last place car. Hollander back up to 15th, waiting for others to pit as well. Starting to see a few takers that think they can get to the finish from here. We've also got this nice little battle between Michael Bolton and AJ Roper. How about that? AJ Roper managing to come back after he spun on the first lap, and he's in 10th right now.
Yeah, that's really impressive. But, Joe, we've had a little bit of a mistake here out of Chris Walsh. Walsh has lost P3.
You're right. He was under attack from Chinichi. Managed to get him to make a mistake and handed it over in the left-hander. So Chinichi onto the podium positions from here. Will he start to take off now that he's gotten by?
I mean, I've got to imagine he very well could here at this point. And I wonder if we could pull up a replay of this, because this wasn't just an errant move off the track, Joe. It looked like Walsh just kind of lost sense of the car a little bit under pressure.
I mean, he was on the inside, so he was slightly offline, and the cutback, beautiful move there by Andrew, and that will get him the position. Walsh is responding by deciding to pit now, clearly not happy with the car. He made it about 40 minutes before he had to come in and take tires. Here's another driver in. That's Dustin Heindel. So Heindel also pitting. Where will Walsh come out, though? Because he was higher up than anybody else who's pitted. So will he also go back just ahead of Hollander, or will he be able to stay ahead of some of the drivers that haven't pitted yet?
Well, he's just waiting for fuel at this point. Tire change is done, and it looks like now, as I take a look out of the commentary window, the 104 is going to be out and on their way. I think crucially here, Joe, it's going to be on the lead lap, so that is mega for Chris Walsh.
Yep, that worked out great, and he will come out in 11th. So Momeyer and Haas, who have not pitted, are still behind him. That's 2 less cars that he needs to worry about trying to overtake in this. Haas, you can see, has actually just been overtaken by Dewan, with him being in that green and yellow car that you saw in the background there. Dewan continuing to plug away, and he does have the fastest lap of the race so far at a 1:12.2. So Cigar is doing quite well for himself out at the front. In fact, he's at that 1:12.2 back on lap 27, and he's on lap 32. So Cigar's actually held onto the car quite nicely. It's getting faster.
Well, I mean, you would tend to expect it to as fuel burns off. Obviously, the car is going to become a little bit lighter, but you have to counteract that with the wear of the tires. And so clearly, I think what Cigar's done here at this point is really saved his stuff. He's saved those 4 tires underneath him. And a little bit counter to what we thought, Joe, the track temperature continues to fall around here. It's down to 87 degrees Fahrenheit. So that means that there's going to be a little bit more grip left in this track than it would normally, and clearly I think Cigar, as we said, saved his tires, and this car's coming alive.
And did you see, though, the wind is up to 25 miles an hour, though. It is really blowing. Maybe that's what's causing the few drivers to have issues. We've seen so many mistakes and offs. Could be that they're just getting buffeted around.
Yeah, it could be. What I find a little bit strange about it is normally when you have that much wind effect, you tend to see the rear end of the car actually want to break away a little bit more, because that's where a lot of the aerodynamic result is, as it were. A lot of the vanes and louvers all over the car funnel the aerodynamics to really affect that back wing. And so when you get a big burst of air, it makes the rear end of the car loose. And this is just a theory, but I'm thinking here with the rear engine design of these Porsche 992s, I think that you're losing aerodynamic grip over the back of the car. Instead of them going loose, they're actually gripping up a little bit more than they want to, and that's what's creating the understeer, that we're getting more mechanical grip and less aerodynamic grip out of the front of the car.
Chris Walsh had another off just now. So not able to take advantage of those fresh tires like he would have liked. He's still going, but once again, it was out of the final corner. And got it back out on track here, you can see. And he wasn't overtaken, but that's just lost time. Yeah, 1:17 last lap. So 3 seconds to 4 seconds slower than what he should have been able to do.
Yeah, that is not great for Chris Walsh, and he may find himself a little bit jumped when it comes to pit stop cycle here at this point. If he continues to run these laps the way that he is, that is not what he wants to have happen.
Right now, we're down to only 11 cars left on the lead lap. John Momeyer is the last one, but we're watching Bolton still fighting with A.J. Roper in that brightly multicolored car. Whoa, Baccignone, though, finding these aggressive curbs, maybe damaging the car a little bit there as he was bounding over it into the left-hander. So not sure what caused that, but we have seen a few cars spin in that corner already.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if that was another wind-related issue potentially, or if we're seeing just a little bit of a bad curb jump. Let's take a look here at Baccignone. Too much speed into the corner, just absolutely missed it, brings it out to the outside, didn't spin the car, just a simple matter of misjudging that braking zone.
Now that looks like maybe that was the wrong run.
There
this
it
is the one. Oh, so that was him coming back onto the track, didn't anticipate those huge curbs. Oh, wow, that has got to damage the underside of the car doing that.
Yeah, and let's remember here with these cars, now they're not nearly as pronounced of a sculpted under tray necessarily as you would see in a Formula style or an open wheel style car, but there still are very specific aerodynamic elements underneath the car that it's going to help to channel that air, and iRacing does a great job to be able to recreate that and also recreate the damage that you're going to pick up if you go over a curb like that.
Well, looks like he did get a little bit of damage because he came in for another pit stop and took a spare car. So was not happy with how things were going. That's going to send him to the very back of the field. Real shame after that fantastic qualifying effort he put in. Bolton has got his hands full of AJ Roper up ahead of them. They still have Chad Dick within sight. Chad now up 5 positions himself. Oh, a mistake from Roper, though, over Monroe Ridge is going to put him out of reach from Michael.
Yeah, going to put him out of reach for now. Let's see, though, if he's able to close back in a little bit more as this continues to go. Still about half of this race left to play. And remember, neither of these drivers have taken pit stops quite yet. So we could see that the positions change around a little bit based off of that.
Yeah, highest driver to have pitted is Chris Walsh. He's down in 10th right now. You're right, just about halfway through this race exactly now. So will we see more drivers try to split it evenly across? Or is everybody still going for that long-term strategy that, like I said, is usually the modus operandi for most drivers here in the sim? Bolton versus Chad Dick. Chad Dick is the one to go off this time out of Rabbit's ear. Can't hold on to it. Bolton picks up another one into 6th.
Well, sometimes that's all you got to do to be able to gain a few positions is just keep on keeping on and let the driver in front of you make a mistake. Clearly there, Bolton able to do just that. Now he's got about 3 seconds to try to gain up to BJ Fulton.
Bolton definitely looking good here. Car is looking like it's got some pace in it here in the middle part of the race. Dick has to now worry about AJ Roper behind him as well. So something going wrong with Chad Dick's car, it seems, after he had gained so many positions himself. But they're slipping through his fingers one by one. Let's see what the front stretch holds for all of them. Yeah, a big mistake from Chad Dick once again. Here comes AJ Roper round the outside. Oh, also maybe a mistake from Bolton, who's slow. 2 for 1 maybe for Roper. He's thinking about it, but it's not enough.
Yeah, and he did a very good job there being able to slot the car in between Chad and Michael to make that play. That's a very difficult thing to do. Requires a lot of very good knowledge of just how, frankly, long your car is. Very good job to be able to get that in there, but I don't think we are done seeing AJ's charge through the field. I think he clearly has that yellow 127 in his sights here at this point.
He does indeed. Don't need to go to it, but Chawla has taken a pit stop, so he's our latest to come in now. Walsh still remains your fastest driver to have taken a pit stop out there, so he's up in 9th place now. But the battles carry on here in the mid-pack between Bolton and Roper. The bright yellow 127 machine has the upper hand in 6th place. Both of these cars have been a bit of hard chargers. Up 3 for Bolton, up 5 for Roper.
All right, keep trying to push here at this point, and looks like Roper is going to decide rather than making the call to try to make that pass out on the track, he's going to do it in pit lane.
And BJ Fulton's done the same. And this looks to be almost exactly at the halfway mark. So I think they are indeed going to try and cut this perfectly in half to give themselves the freshest tires over the course of the race on average. Cigar Dewan put in another lap on another car. John Moemeyer this time, who's also deciding, well, might as well pit at this stage, leaving only 7 cars on the lead lap, which goes down to Chris Walsh, who's actually close to being lapped because I think Chris is lacking a little bit of pace to Dewan. Yeah, Dewan's been closing on him here.
Interesting. Okay, the plot's certainly starting to thicken here a little bit. This could be a little bit of a play that, I'll be honest, I didn't necessarily see coming. I would have thought coming out of the pit stops there, he would have been much faster.
Same here, and that means he might get blue flags. Now, I will say this is not F1 style rules, so when they see the blue flags, they are not obligated to leap out of the way after a certain number of corners. They do have to behave themselves. They can't do blocking moves and things of that nature, but it's still going to be a distraction, and Chris Walsh will not be happy to see that blue flag coming from the car that at one point he was battling for the lead.
Yeah, certainly was. And now that he finds himself in this position a little bit farther down in the field, he's not exactly going to be happy about it, I have to imagine. But he is the highest placed driver to have taken that pit stop here. So it looks like there that Chad Dick is going to fall back behind Chris as he goes. But this race is really not playing out for the 104 quite as much as I think he would have wanted to, or we would have thought he wanted to.
Chad Dick in pit lane now, taking service. So he gave up on his battle, decided let's try and do this one through strategy. But will it work is the question as he slowly trundles his way back onto the circuit. And he's going to come out in 11th, it looks like, just behind Kalsa, who's also taken his pit stop.
Yeah, and so that's going to put him out in 11th place here as they go. Now, of the drivers that have taken a pit stop, that's going to put him about, I think, 4th or 5th. So I would put him probably at about maybe 7th, 8th overall.
Somewhere around there, I do believe. So he could inherit a few more of those positions. It all depends on what kind of pace he has now that he's taken these fresh tires and is back out on the track. We're waiting on Dewan, Layton, Chinichi, Rondeau, Bolton, and Haas. Those are the only drivers who have not pitted yet.
Only drivers to have not taken a pit stop here, and they all run up at the front of the field. So here they go. Let's try to see what they're able to do.
Oh, Layton is in. Tom Layton is going to pit from 2nd place with 40 minutes left on the clock. It's going to be about 35 to 30 minutes left for the end of the pit window to come. So they are running close to the end of it right now. We should see more and more drivers duck in.
Yeah, I'm frankly surprised they were able to run this far. Traditionally, what we see out of GT3 cars is about 65 to 70 minutes that they are able to make. But I think because we're dealing with such shorter lap times around here, they're able to save a little bit more fuel.
Yeah, a lot of off throttle coasting, I'm sure, around some of these fast corners too. So maybe that's helping them out here as Layton is going to return. I want to say easily ahead of Chris Walsh. Yes, he is far, far ahead of the 104. So Tom Layton back into what will be theoretically 2nd place, but returns 5th overall.
Yes, they are, as they go right now, trying to see what they are able to do. Layton going to be able to be about 58 seconds behind Cigar Duan. Pit stop time that we've seen here at this point is about 52 to 58 seconds cone to cone.
Saw Dewan go by, saw Chinichi go by, and then we have a long wait before you get to 3rd place, Mark Rondeau. This endurance race has really spread them out. There he is. He's also deciding not to pit this time and is going to hold out that little bit longer. Bolton, the next one that needs to come by that needs a pit stop, other than, of course, Larry Haas, but he's way down. In fact, he's been lapped even without taking a pit stop, so he's not really in the running here. And Bolton is not going to pit either as we continue to watch Rondeau up through Rabbits here, trying to close on AJ Roper, who is a lap down, having taken his pit stops, and it's a little bit frantic there in front of him. You can see cars trying to stay out of the way, being lapped. That's Larry Haas, and he's going to slow up Rondeau just a little bit as AJ Roper chases Chad Dick for 10th.
Yeah, chasing him here at this point. This is our closest battle out on the track. Remember here, both of these drivers have pitted, so it's not like there's any sort of little ways to get around this. This is all going to be played out here on the track.
The drivers will have to play nice with one another, and the leaders will need to pay attention to what the lap traffic is doing. Can't throw this away with a silly move here at the end. You got to stick with it. I do believe, no, I thought Haas was going to be pitting in, but he chose not to. Instead, it's Mark Rondeau who is pitting in this time in the 11.
All right, Rondeau's going to come on in out of P3 here at the moment. Now, let's see if this trend does continue. Tom Layton had the shortest pit stop that we've seen with 24.8 seconds for him. Now, I believe that's because less fuel is needed to be put into the car, but we'll have to see if that continues to play here and if Rondeau is going to have another quick stop.
So Rondeau now trickles down the order. Layton goes by. Chris Walsh is going to be able to go by. But what about the others? Hollander still has to catch up to him, and Hollander is a ways back. So I think Rondeau is going to be racing against the 69 car here.
I think he is as well, as there, Cigar Dewan setting the fastest lap of the race at the last time of asking with a 1:12.108. Remember, Cigar still yet to pit. Those are the tires he started this race on.
And still faster than Chris Walsh and a lap ahead, thanks to the pit stop, but he is now, I think, within range that Chris is getting those blue flags inside the cockpit.
Yeah, it probably is as well. Now, remember, those blue flags are merely advisory here at this point. He does not have to necessarily adhere to them, but he will be aware that he'll need to get out of the way if he has to.
So will Chris Walsh actually cycle back into third is the question? Or can he maybe be overtaken? Well, he was overtaken by Chinichi, I should say. So I don't think he's going to be coming back in third. Well, we'll find out soon. Bolton has now pitted, and I think Chinichi just finished his. So there he is on track right now, exiting well ahead of Walsh and on the lead lap. So only Cigar Dewan, and there he is right there. Cigar Dewan has pitted.
All right, coming down into pit lane. That changes everything up. Here we go.
So this will reset things so that we finally get a real look at how many cars are going to be on the lead lap here, as many of them will pass by the 501 and get their lap back. Back onto the track goes Bolton past him. So Bolton returns in 8th position now.
All right, so Bolton's going to find himself there about 3 seconds adrift of BJ Fulton. So that's going to change things out there just a little bit in terms of that. But now Cigar comes in and out of pit lane. Long pit stop there for Cigar, 26.5 seconds.
Tom Layton approaching, but he's a little too far behind. We kind of figured Dewan would be away from him. And that is that. So Dewan has to bring it home from here in the final 35 minutes. He looks like he's been the fastest guy out there. Will that continue to be the case? Looks like we've got a replay of what happened with Roper and Chad Dick getting a little bit elbows out coming down into the first turn. Watch this.
All right, running next to each other. Oh, banging doors a little bit as they go. Here they come down into the corner. Almost contact there at corner entry. Whoo-hoo, we are getting a little bit feisty here.
I like it. And it all was fair, though. Neither driver really edged off the course or anything like that. So just getting some physical exercise out here today, as AJ Roper is now into 10th. Dick is down into 11th. That's everybody with their pit stops except for Larry Haas, who's actually still out there. Well, I say that, and now he finally come and pits in. So that is the last of them. And it does look like it's going to be, I think, 11 cars still left on the lead lap after the pit stops are done, with a half an hour left to go.
All right, so now it is all just down to who is able to push, who was able to get the most out of the car here with 34 minutes to go. It's go time.
Some of the drivers have definitely separated in that pit sequence, but others have come closer together. And one that has is Hollander and Fulton for 6th position. Hollander been a real story all race long. Has gained a lot of spots, then at times it seems he's lost them here and there. And right now he's up 4. Fulton's going to try and change that.
All right, Fulton's going to try to see what he is able to do here as they go. Only about a half a tenth behind as he continues to push. We watch right now a little bit farther up in the field as drivers just continue to circulate. We've got some bigger gaps farther in the field, but it looks like as we get a little bit farther back, everything starts to bunch up a little bit more.
A little bit of a kick of the dirt once again from Matt Hollander, trying to use up every inch he can. And that might slow him up, or it could trip him up eventually. He's got to be careful that the car is not going to spin out, kicking up that dirt as Fulton looking strong on the brakes into the left-hander is becoming a real problem here. Larry Haas is in front of them. If they catch that lapped car at the wrong time, this could be a real battle. And Michael Bolton is starting to arrive too.
All right, we've got a little bit of a three-car fight here, potentially starting to brew. This could get very spicy very quickly.
No doubt about that. And the way that I know that Matt Hollander is a fierce fighter too, so he's not going to give this one up willingly. If BJ Fulton gets close to them, he's going to try and put one up, and this might be where he has to do so, as Hollander did not get a good exit out of the final turn. Side by side, coming up to Castrol Corner. He's got the inside. He breaks a little bit deeper, and it looks like he's going to be able to handle it well and keep him back. Sixth place remains in the hands of Hollander, but here comes Bolton now, looking for that outside move that he's done multiple times already. Oh, but he almost gets elbowed off the course.
Almost gets elbowed off the course. Good that he was able to hold on to it here at this point. They're going to try to push up, coming up into Budweiser balcony right now. No moves around the outside as we've seen there a little bit earlier, but let's see. Could BJ Fulton maybe have a little bit of a run here on Hollander?
Thought about it, but wasn't quite close enough. Gonna have to start calling Bolton Harry Gantz here. High, wide, and handsome. Loves to make that outside move, and he's made it work. Can he do it this next time by if he can stay close enough to this pair? Fulton is also on the hunt. He could try and get another good exit out of the final corner. Last time, that's what almost cost Hollander. Hollander maybe trying to back it up a little bit to get a better run. It looks much smoother for him.
Looks much smoother indeed. Bolton is definitely the one that could potentially be in the catbird seat here as they start to push. Hollander's got a little bit of a clearance. Is Bolton going to try to throw that car down into turn one? No, he's going to stay in line.
And Haas goes off course in front of them. This could be a real wrench in everything. Defense from BJ Fulton down into the corner. Is that the wrong move to make? Is Bolton going to be able to go by him? Oh, slowed up by the lap traffic. Now suddenly Matt Hollander is in the way of Fulton. He can't keep the momentum up off the corner. Bolton sees the chance. He tries to attack down to the inside with those teeth on the front of the car snapping at the heels of BJ Fulton. He still can't quite take it away.
And look at this. We've got a little bit of lap traffic coming into the equation. That's Larry Haas in the 13 right up ahead.
Yeah, that is what slowed up Hollander there on the exit of Rabbits here. It's still causing him problems. Look at him. He's struggling, and Fulton knows it. He gets the inside coming down into the sweeper. This might be job done. He's been trying this lap after lap. He's almost fully ahead, just about edges him out as they stay a little bit overlapped early in the corner. Now backing off. Oh, no, too far out, too far out. Hollander saves it, but he gives up another position, and it might be another one as here comes Kalsa.
Here comes Kalsa up behind. Here they go. Sadikal recognizing that opportunity. Is he going to be close enough? Hollander trying to go a little bit defensive into the corner, weaving a little bit down the straightaway, but he's going to keep it in line, and he's going to hold ahead for now.
Oh, or will he? Look down to the inside. No, Kalsa can't quite make it work. Oh, still 2 positions lost by Matt Hollander in that one corner. That has got to be frustrating. And speaking of frustrating, the aero wash on the front of Kalsa's car making him struggle.
Yeah, really and truly making him struggle here at this point as he is just trying to do everything that he can. And now look at this. I mean, and now we've got Roper back into this equation as well. Everybody getting to town here.
Oh, car contact between Kalsa and Roper. They're going to get away with it. Chad Dick is also part of it. Oh, my goodness. The mid-pack is becoming a real party.
Yeah, it really and truly is. And all this is going on, by the way, that Cigar Dewan has a 7.5-second lead over Tom Layton, so we're not missing anything there at that point. But here we go, down through the corners.
Roper had to defend on Chad Dick just a little bit there, but he held him off as once again, car off course. Thankfully did not spin back across the track. Larry Haas causing quite the consternation for these mid-packers. Here we go. Kalsa trying to attack on Hollander, and looks like it's not going to stick.
Yeah, not going to stick here at this point. So this battle of 4 cars right now with Hollander, Kalsa, Roper, and Dick all going to stay in line here at the moment. Oh, the little bit of contact there, a little bit of off track.
That elbows him out of the way. Here goes Kalsa to try and finish the job. No, sending it in deep. I told you he's a fierce competitor. And AJ Roper says, thanks, I think I'll take advantage of this, as Chad Dick is now the one that gets shoves off to the side. Roper's not done with it yet. Has to out-accelerate Hollander off of Budweiser balcony, and now he gets it done.
That was some impressive stuff there from AJ Roper, and now Sadikal Kalsa looking to try to be able to take the opportunity from behind right now, but Hollander trying to go here as they run. He's not letting Roper disappear off into the distance.
Who says endurance racing is boring? This has been incredible here, and we still have 30 minutes left to go in this thing. Oh, a little slow there by Hollander into the turn. Kalsa gets held up down at the apex. And he's into the pit lane. Both of them off.
Big contact there. That's going to be Hollander and Dick and Kalsa way off. Not sure why Hollander came down into pit lane, but it all fired off there coming off of turn 9.
Hollander had a black and orange flag. I don't know where he got that meatball from. Did someone hit him side to side maybe and the suspension was damaged?
Could be, potentially. I mean, that's about the only explanation that I can think of here at this point. Not entirely sure what happened. Let's take a look here as they come down through the corner. Hollander makes that move to down into pit lane. Did Chad hook Sadikal? Is that what that was?
Yeah, because Sadikal had to check up because of Hollander going into pit lane, and they just did not expect it. Watch from above. You'll see here he's gonna slow up when they don't expect it, and they just kind of tangle.
Yeah, Sadikal, I think, all right, this is exactly what happened, is that Chad was right behind Sadikal, and then Sadikal tried to move over 2 drivers right when he recognized that that was going to be Hollander coming down into pit lane. No, look, that car started to veer off even before contact was made. I think Chad Dick was actually an unfortunate victim in that, Joe.
That one's going to be a tough one to untangle in the end. We'll have to get the driver's perspective a little bit later. Hollander, unfortunately, down to 14th because of that. And let's see, Chad Dick is in 9th. Kalsa is in 10th. That was costly. And now Tom Layton, I think, wanting to get by Chad Dick, was actually on the radio with him. Guess not terribly happy here. And Chad's not making life easy.
No, not making life easy at all here at this point. Chad wants to basically hold on to every position that he can. He's going to run him off the road.
Wow, yeah, and Tom is sounding pretty incensed over the radio. Their race is not with one another. Now, Tom is still in 2nd, but Chinichi is trying to gain on him here, so he doesn't want to sit around too long.
No, he really doesn't at this point, and that is also because, you know, he does have 10 seconds to get up to Cigar de Juan. Probably not going to be able to make that up here in 24 minutes, but he's only got 6 seconds back to Andrew Chinichi. That's a much more scary gap, and I think Layton just wants to get on by, as Chad's still not giving up any ground.
And I will say, for viewers that are new to this series, this is highly unusual. Usually it's very gentlemanly between all the drivers. It's not often that you'll see this sort of situation between a lapped car holding up a lapper, and he's going to absolutely chuck it down to the inside. There we go. Chad Dick, I think, lifted a little early to finally let him through.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit of sportsmanship coming there. But the thing for Chad is the reason why he didn't want to let any of that go is because Sadikal Kalsa's right there behind him.
So the battle carries on. Those are the 2 that wrecked before, thankfully not too damaged, and are able to keep going without having to take another extra pit stop. But yeah, it's going to start to erupt once again between them.
Yeah, this is going to fire off once more, and I don't think this is going to be necessarily an easy fight. I've got to imagine that both drivers are pretty riled up, especially Chad here at this point. We kind of saw that a little bit with Tom Layton, but I think he has got a little bit of the red mist here as they go.
Kalsa's right on top of him. We don't know if either of them have some sort of damage from the contacts as well. Could be slowing Chad Dick down and costing him. As he comes into the final turn once again, cuts across the bow of Kalsa, not giving him a chance to get inside.
Yeah, not giving him that chance here at this point, but Sadikal going to keep the pressure up behind, going to keep going. A little bit of a look to the inside, just trying to see if he could force him a move there, I think.
Keeping him on his toes, that is for sure. Unfortunately, it's for farther positions down, and I think they would have wanted at this stage as they continue to rise up the hill here, heading towards Budweiser Balcony. This battle and the battle for 6 are the only two really that we've got left at this stage. That's Bolton and Fulton and that other one. Most of the drivers have split relatively far apart. A lot of curb there on the inside for Dick.
Yeah, a lot of curb there on the inside. That could upset the balance of the car just a little bit. He's going to keep going around here at this point. Glance out the back of the car. Obviously, this new updated profile here for the 992. The biggest key difference to be able to recognize is that horizontal tail light that goes all the way across the back of the car. Can't really see it here, but that's really one of the hallmarks that you can tell the difference between the 991 and the 992.
Somewhere hidden behind that metal. So as we continue to watch Chad Dick try to keep out of reach from Kalsa, looks like he's got it under control now. Let's take a look at Bolton and Fulton fighting for P6. And coming off of turn 2 there, definitely taking a lot of the exit all the way into the dirt is Michael Bolton. We've seen that from a number of cars. That was almost a dive down to the inside from BJ.
Almost a dive down to the inside there, but I think he recognizes still 20 minutes left to go in this race. Doesn't need to throw it all away here at this point.
Doesn't at all. Just needs to stay a little patient. They've got plenty of laps to go. They're already 55 into this one, more than an hour into the race at this stage. He's just keeping them in check, making sure that if there's any little hiccup out of that yellow and black machine, he's there to pounce on it. Both of them just glancing that inside curb and now flying down the main straight. Oh, maybe a little too far to the left there for Bolton.
Yeah, maybe a little bit too far to the left, but he's going to be able to keep it together here as they dive down into Castrol Corner once again. A little bit of a wiggle there from Michael, but he's going to be able to keep it together.
Back through the right-hander of Rabbits here, trying to get that late apex there. Is BJ Fulton to really launch off the corner, keep himself safe from BJ, from being able to do anything to attack him. And then up they weave and wind past the balcony, past the marshal's post, and back down the hill once again. Still nothing doing for BJ Fulton.
Still nothing doing here at this point. I think Sadikal Kalsa may have had an off as he's lost about 4 seconds off of Chad Dick, so that's going to be a little bit of a problem there for him. But we keep our eyes focused on this battle as BJ just continues to put pressure to the back.
I think he had 2 offs from what I'm seeing. Yeah, I think one after Castro Corner and then one in Budweiser Balcony. So that's why he's lost so much, as twice in one lap he had mistakes. Oh, here we go. Bolton could be under threat as Fulton looks a little closer this time. Is it too far back though? Yep, he can't quite get there.
Yeah, can't really make it work here at this point, but they're gonna go right now. BJ just continue to put pressure onto the back of him here. I like what I'm seeing out of BJ Fulton, just constant, continuous pressure.
And, I mean, credit to Michael. He's keeping up with that pressure and not making a mistake. So, nicely done by him. And the battle essentially just rages on between these two. In fact, it feels like Bolton has been in a battle almost every single time we turn the cameras to this car.
Yeah, it really does. BJ has just had an incredibly active race here at this point. And sometimes you find yourself in those races, Joe. You just find yourself in a position where everything seems to be happening to you.
Now, it looks like we've got that replay of what happened to Kalsa. So remember, we've got 2 offs here. And actually, actually, was it turn 2, it looks like, that he had the first off. So that cost him a second or 2. Carries on. Tire's probably dirty here, DJ, and I wonder if that's what made him go off here.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Probably picked up a little bit of dirt there around the outside and just wasn't able to get that full contact patch with the rubber there. Again, some of the new updates that iRacing has added, really adding that in.
Got a little replay of the battle here. Boccignone fighting with Hollander. A little bit of back and forth. Thinks he can maybe get that one away, but no dice. Oh, wow. Going around either side. Unbelievable stuff.
Big time there. Big time. Amazing stuff. My goodness gracious. That is how you get a move done.
That was all for position. That was Heindel. And they split him on either side and left him in the dust. He's got to be wondering what just happened.
I'm not sure I can explain fully what happened there at this point. My goodness gracious, that is just a driver who has that car hooked up and knows how to put it together.
So as I said, this is the battle for P12, but now it's down to 2. Hollander versus Boccignone. Boccignone had to come in for a second pit stop. Hollander had to come in and take a spare car himself. Actually, both of them, have taken a spare car at this stage, fighting for this 12th position. A lap down from the leader, and for Hollander, it was looking good in the race itself, even though his qualifying wasn't there. For Boccignone, his qualifying was fantastic. His race, not so much.
Yeah, and that's a little bit of a trend we've unfortunately seen from Doug over the past couple of races. He's qualified exceptionally well, really brought that one lap pace up to snuff and really putting in good times, but it just seems like it's falling off a little bit more in the race, not really able to run with as much consistency as I think he'd like to.
For those curious, Dewan still leads. It's by about 9 seconds now. Some of that obviously added by Tom having to try and overtake the lapped car a little bit. May have been a bit closer, but it's a handy gap. There you can see the difference between them as they run down the hill. And then Shinichi's another 7 seconds behind both of them.
Yeah, so Shinichi here is pretty far off. Our top 5 really separated here at this point. Not really a whole lot of battle going on for them.
There's Shinichi now. But that's your podium. About 16, 17 seconds between all 3 of them. And 16 minutes left to go on the clock. Walsh is still holding on to 4th. And the good news for Chris is that Marc Rondeau's 19 seconds behind him. So Chris may have lost a bit of time to those in front of him with a couple problems after his pit stop. But I guess the good news is, as long as he just keeps it on the black stuff, he's probably got this 4th place.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that. He's going to be able to hold on here as much as they do well. I do want to bring our attention here to this point that we've got a little bit of lap traffic battle. Oh, here we go.
That's actually for position. That's Chala. They've caught up to Chala. Remember, they're a little bit out of position, so they're quicker, and they've run him down. Matt Hollander made him look like he was napping, but Boccignone having a hard time.
Having a very, very hard time here at this point. Is he going to be able to get around the outside? No, Chwala's going to be able to hold it out.
And this just goes to show how tough it is to overtake here. They were so much faster than this red and white machine, and yet poor Doug is plugged up here.
Yeah, just absolutely plugged up, nowhere to go. He is pushing to try to get by.
And Drew, knowing this is for position, is not going to just pull over and wave him by. He's going to fight for it. This is for 12th now between the pair of them. Will we maybe see a better exit out of the final turn? That's been kind of the go-to for a lot of drivers to try and make passes down the main straight. He's a lot faster on the entry to the corner. It's the exit that he needs to worry about. Doesn't look like it's quite there, though.
Yeah, it's not quite there, not quite able to make a play. He's going to take a little bit of a look down to the inside. Now looking this way, looking that way. Not able to get it done. Chwala's going to hold off for the moment.
So Doug sees Matt Hollander basically disappear up the road and is wondering, how do you get by so fast here? As Drew's putting on fantastic defense, despite not really looking like he's got pace over the number 59. Question is, can he do it for the whole 14 more minutes?
Yeah, that's going to be the tricky part. And now, Joe, let's remember here at this point that these drivers are used to running 30-minute races. So now is the point of the race where you're really going to be starting to feel that stress. You're going to start feeling all of that weight on the body, all of the stress on your arms, all of the endurance that you've been having to put in at this point. And it's going to be very tough to be able to see to the end of this race, because these drivers are going to be tired mentally and physically.
Yeah, just so much exhaustion, especially mentally. in sim racing, and they'll find themselves having to work hard to stretch it to literally 3 times their normal race length. Still not enough for Boccignone to get by Dhruv Chawla. He's almost looks like maybe he's gotten sucked into just matching his pace a little bit here. Needs to do something to snap himself out of it.
Yeah, I think he does as well. And sometimes you can do that. When we talk often about target fixation, when you have a driver that, you know, goes off around a corner or something like that, and you're sort of focused on in here at this point, and you'll see him, oh, here's a little bit of a look coming down to the inside, coming up into Budweiser balcony, not going to play.
Also, we had a pass for 10th. Hollander went by Kalsa. So nicely done. That moves Hollander back into the top 10. He's made a good job out of trying to recover on this race. There you can see him now in front of that red and white car.
Yeah, Matt's not had the easiest race here, but a good job to be able to keep his head in it, keep fighting, and keep going around here as he runs. Again, 10th place, not what he really would have wanted to do. With 12 minutes left, he's got about 3.5 seconds to try to make up to Chad Dick. I don't think he's going to be able to run that down, but he's going to try very hard.
Well, Doug, while he sits stuck, like I said, is a lap down. We're down to 8 cars left on the lead lap, and AJ Roper is the last of them currently. He might actually be overtaken by Dewan before this is over. It just depends on how good AJ's pace is. I see him running 112.9s, 112.8s. Wow, he's going really fast out there. Yeah, I mean, compare that to Dewan, who's a lot of 113s, although he did run a 112.6 last lap.
112.6 isn't bad at all, as he's going to keep pushing here at this point. Let's just see, though. Now, are they coming up against a little bit? No, that is Kalsa up ahead of them, so that is some actual traffic that they're going to have to deal with.
Indeed. So this is for position. Again, I wonder if Kalsa has a bit of damage after he had his off with Chad Dick. Well, that's another off right there. Finds his way back onto the course, but it slows him up tremendously. And there goes Chawla. Yeah, he's not going to fight it. Oh, but Chawla now has it off. There's the opportunity. Doug finally sees the doors open and off into... Oh, Kalsa has a black and orange flag himself. He must have had some other issue that I had missed out there. So he's now coming into pit lane, and Doug hands that over that spot right back once again. Almost finds himself flying over the ditch there.
Yeah, very, very lucky that that wasn't a little bit rougher there at that point. Here they go, though, as they work their way back around. He's still going to have to work.
Trying to see if I can find where the meatball flag was given to Kalsa, and I'm not seeing anything super apparent so far. It must have been many, many laps ago. So could have been a case of clipped a curb hard or something, but he's now got fresh tires on it. He's got a spare car, but he's in 15th, and he's, yeah, I don't think he's going to catch Heindel. He's 40 seconds behind.
Yeah, I think he is as well here at this point as they run right now. Oh, a little bit of an off there for the 930 at Chad Dick, though.
Ooh, pushing the limits, and Hollander spies an opportunity. Blood is in the water, but forced to go the long way around. Braking deep. Can he make it stick? Yes, he can. Matt Hollander is on a mission. That was 9th place for him.
Really nice job there for Hollander. Remember, I said I didn't think he could close that down here at this point, and he was able to do just that.
And still another kick of the dust there by Chad Dick. Good news is it's 6 seconds back down to Dhruv Chawla, and Chawla's got worries behind him rather than in front because he's got Doug Boccignone. He's still trying to make that pass. Poor Doug. Oh, this will be a race to forget for him, as it's not the results that he wanted, and on top of it, he's struggling to try and get this overtake done with a car that it seems he should be much faster than. Tried to get his nose in through that little left-hander before Monroe Ridge. Nothing doing. That is a scary one, I can tell you. It's hard to go side by side through there.
Yeah, it's very, very sketchy to do that. And now at this point, these guys have got to be a little bit careful here. John Momeyer's only about 9/10 of a second behind them. he's going to try to maybe make this a three-car battle.
Yeah, Momeyer's had great pace, honestly, because he passed Dustin Heindel a few laps ago, and now he's caught up to them. John's going to be pretty proud of himself, I got to think. Oh, Boccioni may have finally gotten it done. He's in front of him. Can he make the corner this time? Yes, he does. In fact, it's Drew who goes wide, giving the spot up as well to John Momeyer. So Boccioni into 11th, Momeyer into 12th.
All right, so there it is, changing around here with under 8 minutes left to go in the race. So it looks like Drew just kind of lost a little bit of run there at that point, and it maybe be a situation here where for the first time in I don't know how many laps, Joe, we've got a little bit of calm on our hands.
Indeed. It's it's going well for Cigar de Juan, who's had plenty of calm from what we've seen, but maybe he's encountered a few hiccups along the way. Has cut down a little bit. It's down to 8 seconds between himself and Tom Layton. So Tom's pushing. In fact, Tom set his personal best on lap 62 not that long ago with a 1:12.4. But for comparison, DeJuan's best lap is 0.3 quicker.
Keep going here at this point. Keep coming down as they run. Yeah, things are a little bit interesting there. Is Layton looking like he's putting some time in as they run?
I tell you what, it's taken a minute for DeJuan here, but if he gets this win, he has earned it. Because yes, he's led much of it, but he's done it on the enduro, and not because of craziness. He has been dominating this race up at the front. It has been his, and I think he should feel proud of himself if he comes away with this checkered flag.
I think he should be very, very proud with himself if he is able to walk away with this checkered flag. It's going to be a big, big feather in his cap to be able to hold on to this, to be able to win an endurance round here. That is nothing to shake a stick at.
Now, the unfortunate thing is he's 20 points behind Layton coming into this, and it'll be a 10-point swing with the double points. So he'll still be 10 points behind him afterwards, but a lot closer. Chinichi with this third place, let's see, 24 points. I think he should take over the points lead, I'm pretty sure here.
Yeah, very well might here as they go. So that's going to change things up here in a big way.
Actually, no, apologies. It will not give him the points lead because Layton's finishing in front of him. So Layton will still be up there, but Chinichi will keep him honest, and this will be an important one for Andrew to manage to stay back on the podium. He's only missed it twice, and in one of those races he was not in the race. So technically only one time so far he's missed the podium.
Yeah, impressive run there for him at this point. And 5 minutes left to go. Oh, we've got a car off. That's the number 13 of Larry Haas.
This looks like Budweiser Balcony. He's going to be able to get it back going here if he can find some clear air. Okay, he's doing he's trying to do the right thing and stay off the track, but he's losing traction. Hopefully he finds a nice, safe spot to rejoin. Yeah, it's going to let the car go by, and now he's back on the track. That was Dustin Heindel. He was letting through. Haas, unfortunately, last on the field. Oh, I think he had a very close moment with Bolton, though, as he tried to get the car going. He went across the track. In fact, he may have he hit something because the car looks like it can't steer.
Yeah, it's looking like it's crabbing pretty heavily. I wonder if he whacked a curve or something like that.
That's pretty close there.
Yeah, there he goes. Oh, yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it.
Yeah, those foam barriers are a lot softer in real life, but unfortunately, looks like they're a pretty hard hit here in the sim. So that's pretty much day over for Larry. He could take a spare car, but we're only a couple of laps away from the finish, so I'm not sure if he'll get it back out there in time. He has to wait for the tow, and then has to wait for the free repair to finish, which should be quick, but by that time, I mean, there might be just 2 laps left.
Yeah, there's not going to be a whole lot there, and Larry pretty much at this point is guaranteed to be last in the race. But, Joe, our battles aren't done here at this point. BJ Fulton, AJ Roper, this is the battle for 7th place.
About a second apart currently. They've got Bolton, and it's another second up to Bolton. So, yeah, this is actually for sixth, if anything. Three-way battle between these drivers. Bolton with that close moment trying to go by Larry Haas. Thankfully did not hit him, but probably slowed him up.
Yeah, probably slowed him up a little bit, so that's going to change things around there as they run. Here's Bolton coming around right now. He's got about that 1 second gap here over those two trying to trail in behind him. He is going to have Dustin Heindall about 1.8 seconds up the road. Also, Drew Chwala coming down into pit lane. Now he's coming back out. Not sure what happened there.
What if he also has had some damage? So we'll keep an eye on him. Yeah, just to complicate things, Dewan is approaching from behind. So they've got a lapped car that they need to go by while also watching out for a car lapping them.
Yeah, this is where things get very, very tricky as a driver.
Heindel gets through and just going to let them go as Bolton and Fulton take off, but AJ Roper wants to stay with him as well. He's having trouble, cuts back underneath. Nice job by Dustin to let them through, and he lets Cigar Dewan pass. But now, what does Cigar do? This is a battle for position. This is not like what he had with Chad Dick. He has to respect the fact that they've got their own little fight going.
Yeah, they really do. You've got to manage both sides of that coin here. If you are the lapping car or the lapped car, you've got to be very, very heads up about it.
In fact, I believe it's going to be 2 laps to go here at the line. So he is definitely going to have to deal with it, but he's got 8.5 seconds. He can afford to give away a little bit of that time, but he probably does not want to get involved in this fight. If they have a moment and spin in front of him, he does not want to get tangled.
No, he certainly does not here. So as he runs at this point, you know, he's got 9 seconds over Tom Layton, 2 laps to go with the line. Joe, I'd wait this out, but there's a reason why I'm not in the driver's seat.
Yeah, exactly. And he's been so mighty fast today. Will he keep the impatience up and decide to keep on it, push hard? He's already collected AJ Roper, has not overtaken him yet, but he's right behind him. Roper's probably getting those blue flags flashing on his screen now, so he knows that that leader is there.
Yeah, certainly does here at this point. There's no way he doesn't know he's right up behind him.
And he's not going to try and intentionally hold him up. At least we're pretty sure that's the case. And it's just that he doesn't want to give away a chance to try and fight for more positions, especially considering if he gets lapped, then he truly won't be able to try and overtake them if they don't get lapped, and he'll need to stay ahead of them for this just one more time around, but he's not fast enough, and here comes Cigar Dewan looking to demote him. He's gonna lift, he's gonna concede defeat.
All right, he's going to give up the ghost there at that point. You got to feel a little bit sad for Cigar having to do that here at this point, but white flag in the air. Yeah, I get the call.
So, yeah, well done there by Roper, seeing the writing on the wall and not wanting to interrupt. Seeing that the leader was trying to make those moves, he decided it wasn't worth trying to risk both their cars at this stage. Dewan now doing the same thing. He is the truck in your mirror, just filling it up, making sure that you can't see anything behind you, and letting Mike or BJ Fulton know that, yeah, there you can see just how close he is, letting him know that he is there as they start to approach the final sweeper. Doesn't have to let him by, remember, and he'd like to get that extra lap to try and catch up to Bolton. And it looks like Dustin Heindel may have had a DQ as he has run out of incident points. So he is out of this race. To the line, Cigar Dewan finally steps up one spot to take the win in the endurance race for double points here at Willow Springs.
Great run here for Cigar. Looked like he was in threat at about the first third of the race, but came back to play and came back to go.
Lapping all the way up to 7th place This is a battle for position between Momire, Baccignone, and Chad Dick. Dick in 10th place. He's trying to weave across the track here to prevent Momire from any opportunity to get through. Covers the inside down to the sweeper. Baccignone sees a chance, tries to get his nose in, down through the long right-hander. Is this going to do it? All of them go as deep as they dare, including Momire, absolutely chucking the car in, but he gets elbowed out off the course. All three of them off the course. It's a drag race to the line. Who's going to get there first? It's going to be close. Here comes Baccignone, but he can't quite beat him. Chad Dick is going to get that 10th spot.
Great run there off of the corner. My goodness gracious, who says you can't race coming through turn 9?
Bolton and Fulton will finish as they are. Looks like BJ just could not catch up to him. That's the last of our cars as he flashes the lights in celebration. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Willow Springs International Raceway. The first time that the POC has raced here in the virtual world, and Dewan takes bragging rights by about 8 seconds over Tom Layton, who finished second today. Andrew Chinichi rounds out your podium as Chris Walsh unfortunately looked quick early and then kind of fell backwards and saw some serious mistakes. The first time we've really seen that out of Chris, honestly. Fourth for him. Mark Rondeau was fifth as Michael Bolton was sixth and BJ Fulton last on the lead lap in seventh. AJ Roper wound up eighth. Hollander collected himself back to ninth despite having to take an extra pit stop, and Chad Dick was 10th.
In 11th place was Doug Baccignone, who had a very rough day out there, unfortunately, for the green machine. Then John Momire finished 12th place, only one lap down. Drew Schwala, 13th. And then Sadikal Kalsa, 14th, also 2 laps down. Dustin Heindel, 15th. Larry Haas and Michael Johnson at DNS on the day.
It looks like our winner's ready to chat with us. The 501 of Cigar Dewan getting his first win this season. And I'm sure he is absolutely just beaming with pride after that one. Cigar, just an absolutely fantastic race. You've had so many second places this season, and finally you break your duck.
Yeah, I'm so happy with that. I think, just start to finish, couldn't be happier.
We talked a lot about how these California tracks offer up chances for you guys to race at places where you've got experience. Have you done laps at the real Willow Springs before?
I have not, and I am going there on Friday, so I'll be there this coming weekend.
Well, there you go. You've got some bragging rights now when you go over there. What do you think of the track now that you've had a chance to pound around this version of it?
It's pretty scary. I think if I actually look at the data and see what the car is doing, I don't think I want to be doing that in real life. The track is really, really fast. But yeah, I want to go there. Everybody I know that's in Southern California has already been to the track, and like it's the one thing I've not done yet. And I've been to the track right next to it, Streets of Willow, many times now. So this is just overdue.
Well, again, congratulations. That looked pretty flawless from us. So best of luck when we see you again in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Cigar Dewan taking his first win here of season 2 in 2023. Up next, I think that DJ has caught up with third place finisher Andrew Chinichi.
I have indeed, Andrew. A little bit of a rough qualifying there, but you certainly made it play when it came to the race, up 3 spots.
Yeah, super happy with that. Was not struggled in qualifying for sure. But yeah, to make it work in the race feels good.
Well, what was the secret out there today? Because it seemed like a lot of drivers were having problems, particularly maybe with the wind as strong as it was.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the wind. I have struggled with this car, and during the qualifying session, I had a little bit of a realization on how I think the other guys are going faster. But I think my driving style, I went back to my driving style during the race, and I think that actually helped protect the front tires a little bit better. And yeah, I was happy to be able to maintain a good pace for pretty much the whole race. I think it was just protecting the front tires as much as you could, kind of turning as little as possible.
Well, I mean, it certainly played out for you. And are we going to see another repeat of you when we head off to Laguna Seca?
I'm not. I think so. I think I can make that race. I'll be honest. I gotta thank my wonderful girlfriend Rose. I've been struggling with this car and struggling to get any enthusiasm to practice with it. Like I didn't practice for this race at all, and I didn't. In practice like earlier this evening, I was thinking I don't even want to do this race. But with her encouragement, I'm happy I did. And yeah, I guess I'll just keep doing them and see how it goes.
All right. Well, we wish you the best luck in the world, Andrew. And outside of that, thank you to your girlfriend. Anybody else you'd like to thank?
No, that's it. I mean, thank you guys, and thanks everybody that participated in the race. Cigar and Tom, you guys did a phenomenal job. Yeah, but thanks everyone. Take care.
All right. Thank you. Andrew Chinichi, your third place driver, Joe.
And that takes us to second, Tom Layton, who had a bit of an ebb and flow today. Tom, we heard Andrew talk about the tires and working with them since this was longer than the normal races for this series. Did you find yourself having to manage them as well?
I wasn't really trying to manage so much as just deal with the amount of grip they were giving me. So I was watching Cigar up front, and even down to the end, he was putting down faster and faster laps, and so it showed that like the tires kind of had it there, but I think the window for like where they would give you grip was just so narrow. They really gave me a hard time, so I was falling off bad at the end of the first stint.
Speaking of a hard time, we saw a little bit of trouble between you and Chad when you were trying to lap him. Have you had a chance to talk to him at all?
No, I haven't. I think we might disagree on what was kind of right there. I mean, I think our rules are that like you don't have to, like a lapped car, a blue flag doesn't have to let somebody go, but like I think it's unnecessary to be fighting someone like that hard. I mean, I don't see the point.
We can understand the frustration. Still, you did manage a second place. Double points means I believe you should stay in the points lead. So this one probably an important one for you, I imagine, to make sure you at least had a good finish.
Yeah, somewhat. To share some news, my wife's actually been pregnant, and she's due in like 2 weeks. So I think the points I have are going to be very valuable because I'm not sure how much Monday night racing I'm going to be able to do coming pretty soon. But yeah, so it's good to get second place here.
Well, I have to say, I'm pretty sure your cohorts will be glad that you have that as an excuse with another little driver in the family. So congratulations to you both.
Yeah, thanks. So thank you guys. Thank my sponsors, FR Sport, and of course, thank my wife for taking care of everything while I'm out here playing video games.
That was Tom Layton finishing second here today at Willow Springs, which is going to wrap us up. Before we go, once again, we want to thank our sponsors. Porsche, there is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com. And Game Changer Wealth, helping you become a game changer with wealth. Contact them today at GameChangerBR.com or at 225-664-2565. Thanks to the team today, DJ, Zach, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. Like we said, next time is Laguna Seca, Monday, September 25th at 11 p.m. Eastern. But be sure to check out our other broadcasts that we have listed here. And until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.